Have you ever sat in a house that felt completely alive? The hum of the refrigerator, the creak of the floorboards, and still felt more alone than you've ever been in your entire life. What do you do when the person who swore to love you until death actually meant until something better came along? My name is Margaret. I live in a quiet neighborhood just outside of Columbus, Ohio, and for 37 years, I believed I had a good marriage. Not a perfect one, but a good one. The kind built on shared dinners, Saturday errands, and a man who still kissed me on the forehead before he left for work every morning. His name was Dennis, retired accountant, deacon at our church, coached Little League for 11 years. Everyone in our community knew Dennis Holloway as a man of character. I knew something different now. Before we continue, kindly subscribe, like, and drop your comment below. Your support means the world to me. It started with a business trip he had already taken twice that year, something to do with consulting work he'd picked back up in semi-retirement. I never questioned it. Dennis had always been responsible with money, meticulous even, and I trusted that instinct in him. But the third trip felt different in a way I could not name at first. He packed too carefully. He bought a new cologne, something sharp and unfamiliar that I smelled on his collar when I hugged him goodbye. He was distracted at dinner the night before he left, glancing at his phone under the table like a teenager hiding something from his parents. That night, long after he'd gone to sleep, I picked up his phone from the nightstand. I told myself I was just checking the time. The screen lit up with a text from someone saved simply as C. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. I already booked the suite. Don't forget what you promised. I set the phone back down like it had burned me. I did not cry. Not yet. I lay there in the dark next to this stranger, this man wearing my husband's face, and I felt something cold and precise begin to calcify in the center of my chest. Not heartbreak, not yet. Something harder than that. Strategy. By morning, I had already called my daughter, Renee, who lives 40 minutes away in Westerville. She picked up on the first ring, the way daughters do when they somehow already know. I told her everything in a flat voice that surprised even me. There was a long silence on her end, and then, "Mom, don't do anything until I get there." She called her brothers, Tyler, who lives in Nashville, and Marcus, who was already in town visiting a college friend. By noon, all three of my children were sitting at my kitchen table, and the look on their faces when they saw me was the first time I nearly broke. Nearly. But I had work to do. While Dennis was 3 states away in Charlotte, playing husband to someone who did not know, or perhaps did not care, what that word actually meant, we moved with the kind of quiet efficiency that only comes from love turned to iron. Renee handled the banking. We had a joint account that Dennis funded generously every month, believing, I suppose, that financial comfort bought loyalty. But what he didn't know was that my name alone was on a savings account I'd been quietly building for 6 years, a habit I'd started after my own mother's advice decades ago. Always keep a door only you can open, Margaret. I opened that door now. Marcus helped me locate every document that mattered: the deed to the house, our will, insurance policies, the investment portfolios. He photographed everything and sent copies to our family attorney, a woman named Gloria Stearns, who had represented me once before in a property dispute, and who, when I called her that afternoon, said only, "Come in first thing Monday. I'll have everything ready." Tyler was the quiet one. He moved through our home like a ghost, helping me pack every item of sentimental value: my mother's silver, the children's baby photos, the wooden jewelry box Dennis gave me on our 10th anniversary, which I now wanted nowhere near him. We did not rage. We did not weep. Not in front of each other, anyway. We worked. By the time the sun set in Columbus that Friday evening, the house still looked like a home. Dennis would notice nothing wrong when he walked in Saturday afternoon. The furniture was in place, the lights were on timers, there was even a casserole dish on the stove, something Renee suggested almost darkly because she said, let him think everything is completely normal for exactly as long as it takes him to look at his phone. We left one thing deliberately on the kitchen table, a single envelope. His name written on the front in my handwriting, the same handwriting that had signed 37 years of birthday cards, school permission slips, and the marriage certificate that now meant nothing. Inside was not a letter of grief. It was not a plea. It was 4 words and a signature. I already know everything. Margaret. And beneath that, Gloria's business card. We watched from Renee's living room. She had quietly asked her neighbor, a retired police officer named Frank, to keep an eye on our street through the weekend for her, citing a vague concern about some strange cars in the neighborhood. Frank, bless his heart, texted us a photo when Dennis pulled into the driveway at 3:47 on Saturday afternoon, suitcase in hand, collar open, looking tan and relaxed, in a way that made my stomach turn. The photo after that, 15 minutes later, told a different story. Dennis was standing on the front porch. He had come back outside. He was holding the envelope. His posture had changed entirely. He called me 6 times before I blocked him. He called Renee twice, Marcus once. Tyler didn't even receive a call. I think some part of Dennis understood that Tyler would be the one he would least want to speak to right now. He texted from a number I didn't recognize. Margaret, please, it wasn't what it looked like. Let me explain. The audacity of that sentence. It wasn't what it looked like. As though I hadn't read the words myself. As though I hadn't felt that cologne and known it, the way you know a season is changing before the temperature actually drops. I didn't respond. My attorney did on Monday morning. The divorce proceedings were not dramatic. That surprised some people who knew us. A few of Dennis's friends, men who'd grilled in our backyard for 20 years, reached out with awkward text messages, clearly having heard only his version and hoping I would offer some soft reconciliation narrative. I did not. Our community pastor called, and I respected him enough to answer, and when he gently suggested that healing through communication might be the path forward, I told him as calmly as I could, Pastor, I will heal. I just won't do it with Dennis present. The settlement was fair, not because Dennis was generous, but because Gloria was meticulous, and because I had 37 years of documentation on my side. The house sold in 11 days. We split the equity, the retirement accounts were divided according to what I was legally entitled to, which, after nearly 40 decades of marriage, was more than Dennis had anticipated. He moved into an apartment near downtown Columbus. I heard, through the kind of quiet suburban grapevine that never fully dries up, that C never actually moved there with him, that the woman in Charlotte had no interest in a man whose financial picture looked suddenly different without a long, faithful wife managing the household. Funny how that works. I bought a small house in Dublin, Ohio, just 12 minutes from Renee, close enough to pick up my grandchildren from school on Tuesdays. The backyard has a porch where I drink coffee in the morning and watch the light come through the trees, and I feel for the first time in years like the air around me is simply clean. Some mornings I still wake reaching for the habit of a 37-year marriage, the reflexive awareness of another person in the room, the sounds, the rhythms. And then I remember, and then I feel something I didn't expect to feel so soon. Relief. Not happiness, exactly, not yet, but the particular peace that comes from knowing you finally stopped carrying something that was never yours to carry in the first place. They say the golden years are supposed to be quiet, restful, earned. I'm learning they can be, just not always in the way you planned. Dennis thought that 37 years of comfort had made me soft. He thought the version of me who made his casseroles and ironed his dress shirts and sat in the fourth pew every Sunday was all there was. He forgot that I was also the woman who raised three fiercely loyal children. He forgot that still waters don't mean shallow water. And he forgot the one thing my mother told me when I was 22 years old, standing at a kitchen sink not so different from my own. Margaret, a good woman is patient, but a wise woman knows exactly when patience is over. I know now. I'm done being patient, and I have never, not once, slept better in my life. If this story resonated with you, you're not alone. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you know someone carrying a secret too heavy to speak, share this with them. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply decide you deserve better. This is Reddit Family Secrets. I'll see you in the next one.